Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. If you find these videos helpful, consider supporting me through Patreon. This is episode 4 of Capital Project Management, and today we're going to focus on schedule adherence. And I've built this chart in a previous episode, and I love this chart, and we're going to keep coming back to it. It's got the project number and project name, and indicates when a project was supposed to start with the empty triangle, and when it actually started versus when it was scheduled to stop or finish, and when it actually finished. And already tested this out, feel pretty comfortable with the information, so we're going to keep coming back to this as kind of to gauge, to make sure that our information is correct in our visuals. First thing the client wanted to know was what projects had been completed within 30 days of their scheduled, what projects had started within 30 days of their scheduled start time. So initially I had thought that maybe a box chart like this, a tree map is what it's also called, would work well. And you could see here's how many 30 days, and you could see some of the projects were started early, some were started late. But as I started looking at it and I played a little bit with the colors, it just didn't quite speak to me the way I was hoping it would. So the next thing I tried was this histogram. And I liked this a lot better because you can quickly see, okay, most of the projects are starting within, 30 days plus or minus. And we do have a couple of outliers. You don't see that quite as much come through with the box chart. And so I liked this chart, and so this is the chart I'm going to go with. I'm going to probably do some formatting in the finished product. The one tricky thing about this, and when we create this, actually, the tricky thing about this is under the bringing the delta start date, we have to change it to dimension. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. I'm going to skip to the next item first, and then I'm going to recreate this chart. The next one is they wanted to see how much of the delay was associated with, for every day late that we started, did the finish, slide that same number of days. And so this is a bar chart, obviously, overlaying the delay of the start and the delay of the finish. And so this is where we're going to go back to the timeline. So I'm going to take a look here at project number, let's actually look at project 10, right? This would say, the right way you would look at this, and you'd say, okay, we started late, because the orange or the cream is the start, but we finished early, all right? Or, vice versa. That's what we'd have to want to figure out. Just double checking. We started late and finished early. So let's come to timeline number 10. If we look at project 10, we actually started late we started late and we finished late. So something is wrong with this chart. We started late and we finished late. Well, I discovered that the days, this is negative. And so what I really want to change this to is I want to change this to be, well, let me show you this is kind of all over the place. Sorry about that. Delta of start date. Let's take a look at that first. This is a date diff function. We're looking for the day. The start date is the planned finish date. And then the ending date is the actual finish date. So if a project ends after if it's late, this is going to be a positive number. If it finishes early, it's going to be a negative number. So let's just confirm that. On project 26, it's negative, so we should have finished early. 26, yeah, we finished a little bit early, just a little bit, but we did finish early. So what we want to do is change the start so that it's the same sign. So that's what I've done is I've come down here, edit, and I just basically put a negative in front of the delta of start date to fix it. So I'm going to grab this now, and I'm just going to drag it, and I can just drop it on the same pill, and it'll be in the same, everything will convert over. And so now what we're seeing is we're seeing projects that are a little bit late. They start a little bit late, but they finish a lot late. In this case, we'd say the project started 396 days late and finished 337 days late. So they made up some schedule time. So this is a really quick way that you can take a look at how your projects were doing. I think they were trying to understand, hey, if the project starts late, we understand if it starts a month late, it's going to finish a month late. But that's not what this is saying. It's saying a lot of projects are ending late, and I would say it doesn't appear to be in relation to the delay in the start. Let me show you how we made this real quick, just so you get the feel. So we're going to bring the delta of finish date, we're going to bring that to the columns, and then we're going to bring the start delay to the columns. And we want the projects down the side, so we're going to bring project item. The finished product, you might bring name as well. And so there's the bar charts. Right click, move to delta axis, goes all to dots, that's fine. Come over here, change it to bars. All right, so now they're kind of overlapping, but so that you can see both of them. In some cases, you don't know if that's the only bar there or not. So what I do is the one we're focusing on is the finish. So I'm going to make this a little bit wider, and then come here, make this a little narrower. And now you've got that chart, right, that we had before, where you have them lined up. Okay, so delete that. Now we need to come back here and change this so that it's consistent across our dashboard. Let's create another chart here, worksheet. And we want the start delay up on top. And we want the item, and we're actually going to, we want to count the number of items. All right, so there's a problem, right? Start delay. Well, your first thought would be, let's go get rid of the aggregate measures. They're all along the bottom here. What we need to do is we want to treat the different delays as dimensions. So come up here, we'll just convert this to a dimension. And now, you got a weird line. Come over here, change it to bar. And so now you have your histogram looking chart, which was what we wanted. Key is changing it so it's considered an attribute, a dimension, and then you have your length. The continuous value here is the distinct count of project item numbers. All right, so finally, and I'm going to clean that up too. I'll probably get rid of the bars here and rename this in days and all that stuff. Finally, the finish delay. One of the questions was, what's the average delay, finish delay versus for each individual project. And I went with the bar chart, a scatter plot. I like those. And so let's just create that one from start to finish. So we know we're going to want the finish delay. So bring that over here, 1 bar. And we're going to need it for every item. So we'll bring that here. Now you've got all these little segments. Let's change that to circle. And we're going to make this a little smaller. Okay, so now we've got that portion. We're going to add a reference line because we want that bar chart or box plot. And I've done this in other videos, talked a little bit about this, but I say the maximum extent of the data. And the reason I do that is because that's easier to explain than the IQR. Trying to explain that to somebody, it's just not worth the time. You're going to get confused. They're going to get confused. This you can explain. This people understand, right? So where the color changes, the median is the 50th percentile, and the lower hinge is the 25th percentile, and the upper hinge, you can see that there, is the 75th percentile. So how do we get it so that it's spread out? The jittering is what they call. Oftentimes I have a calculated field called index, but I'm just going to type it under here, under edit shelf, have index, and going to hit enter. Nothing happened. Well, you'll notice this little triangle up here. This is a table calculation. I want to compute, I want to just do this over item. And what this is going to do is this is going to give a value of 1 through however many to each item on the chart. And because that is the column, it is spreading things out. All right, so if you highlight this, you'll see this is item number 6, item 11, item 29, 51, all the way till, I don't know, 84, 85. So that's how you create the jittering. And once again, I'm going to go through and I'll clean this up as well. Okay, so those are the elements related to scheduling. Especially when you're talking about delta, it's important to remember, are you saying a positive number is a delay, or a positive number means you started or finished early? Thanks for watching. Hope this gives you some ideas on how to approach this type of thing in the future.
Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when new videos are released. Check out some of these other videos I think you'll find helpful.